Thank you.
Thanks. Mr. President, at the right time, I have two comments on the agenda.
All right, please.
Board members and ladies and gentlemen, there are two items on the agenda that should not be there and will be removed, and I want to explain why. One item, John, do you have a reference to Mrs. Winters?
I have it in my copy, but
right.
apparently the board has a different page.
All right, there is a...
29,
29, thank you.
Thank you.
29 reappointment, number 1.
There is a motion on a resolution on the agenda to reappoint Laura Winters. That resolution is unnecessary. Laura has a 5-year contract. She's here. It's unnecessary to reappoint her. She's here for the next 4.5 years, or however long remains in her contract. The other item that should be removed, and I will explain why. Please, I'm fine. The other item that should be removed, and I'll explain why, are all the names that are listed as non-renewals under the section on termination. Let me explain why, and let me explain what the correct process is. Non-tenured employees are non-renewed by the superintendent, not by the board. The superintendent's action in non-renewing a non-tenured employee is not a recommendation to the board, it is an action. So the superintendent takes that action. It does not appear at that time on a board agenda. Any employee who is notified, any non-tenured employee who is notified that he or she has been non-renewed, then has the right to request of the superintendent a written statement of the reasons for the non-renewal. The superintendent then provides those reasons. When the employee receives those reasons, he or she decides whether to appeal the non-renewal to the Board of Education. If that person does not appeal the non-renewal, that's the end of the story. If that person, however, appeals the non-renewal, then that individual has a right to come before the board in what is called a Donaldson hearing. And that hearing takes place in executive session unless the employee opts to have it in open session. That is called a hearing. It's not really a hearing. It's really an opportunity for the employee to explain to the board why the superintendent's non-renewal should be overruled. At that point, the board has the right to overrule the superintendent's non-renewal. It is the only instance under the law where the board may hire an employee contrary to a recommendation of the superintendent. And an action to overrule the superintendent's non-renewal of a non-tenured employee requires a vote of a majority of the full board. So it takes the same number of votes it would have taken to appoint that employee in the first place. So they don't belong on the agenda for that reason, and then if you think about it, they don't belong on the agenda because if that employee might someday come before the board for a hearing, you would want that to happen with the board having before it the information about the superintendent's point of view and the information about the employee's point of view. And for the board to prejudge that and act on it in advance of that would be a violation of the employee's due process rights. So I'm instructing the board that those two items must be removed before there's any further consideration of the agenda. I realize, by the way, that what I have just described with the non-renewals of non-tenured employees differs from what the past practice in this district has been, but unequivocally the past practice was wrong. What I have just described is the way the law requires that this be done.
Steve, thank you. Can we do roll call, please?
Thank you.
By the way, Tom Diambola is not here tonight. His father passed away. So Should we do a minute of silence?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So please, everyone stand. We'll do a minute of silence for Mr. Dan Muller's father, who actually lived to be 99. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Friedman? Here. Mr. Greenspan?
Here.
Mr. Blackton?
Here.
Mr. Tips?
Here.
Mr. Munn? Here. Schwartz? Here. Mr. Silver?
Here.
Mr. Seitler? Here. Mr. Fink?
Here.
Yeah, have a quorum.
Thank you. Before the meeting starts, I just want to say a couple of words. Number one, Mr. Seidler has stepped down from being the vice president of the board. He will remain on the board. He's resigning for personal reasons, so that's going to be a major loss to the board, him stepping down. The second thing that I would like to mention is, for the first time, Lakewood School District is in the works with medallion employment. Medallion employment is going to work with the high school at the junior level, junior grade, and the senior children to actually hopefully help them get jobs. This is the first time that the district has taken the initiative to work with the children, but it's something that we believe will take the students from the school to the workplace. So next week, Marcy Patrisso, under Mrs. Winters, and Helen Tobias are moving forward with making this a reality for Lakewood District. And it'll probably be the only school in Ocean County moving forward with such a program.
Mr. Fink, before we go any further,
Yes.
In the absence of the board secretary, I would like to read the statement regarding the Open Public Meetings Act.
Please.
Pursuant to the provisions of Chapter 231 of the laws of 1976, the Open Public Meetings Act, Mr. Dambola notified the public that notice of the date, time, location, and agenda of this meeting, to the extent known, it was provided at least 48 hours prior to the commencement of this meeting in the following manner: by posting such notice on the Public Announcement Board of the Lakewood Board of Education offices and the Lakewood Township Municipal Building, by mailing such notice to the office of the Asbury Park Press, by filing such notice with the board secretary, and by mailing such notice to all individuals who requested and paid for a copy of same.
Thank you. Mr. Edelstein has something very important to discuss with the public and for the board members who did not attend the closed sessions. It will take 2 minutes, and I'm asking Mr. Edelstein to advise the public and the board members first before the meeting starts.
I do this at the board's direction in the interest of transparency. This afternoon, the board was served with a subpoena by the United States District Court through the FBI. The subpoena commands the production of documents before a federal grand jury, and I'm going to read you the subpoena, and I will tell you a little bit about it. The subpoena commands any and all records and documents, written or electronic, including but not limited to contracts, agreements, memoranda of understanding, amendments, invoices, bills, payment records, including canceled checks and wire transfers, correspondence, including emails, board minutes, resolutions, and agendas between January 1, 2008 to the present relating to the following entities. 1, Catapult Learning. 2, Catapult Services. 3, Ocean Health Initiative. It then contains the name, address, and telephone number of the FBI agent in charge of the investigation. I contacted that FBI agent, as I would for any district receiving any similar subpoena, and learned that the general scope of the investigation is the dealings between the district and particularly prior employees and representatives of the district with these entities. More than that, I don't know and can't tell you. So the district, of course, will comply with the subpoena fully.
Okay, there are no presentations tonight. Minutes, there's none at this meeting. Committee reports? Do we have any committee reports?
No, this time.
None. Moving ahead, correspondence and communications.
I'm sorry. Not on the agenda, but one thing that I do want to mention,
Good.
that I don't know if the kids are here, but we attended the play that the high school gave about 2 weeks ago. I attended, and some other board members attended that play, and it was amazing. The kids did a wonderful job with the play. The house was packed when I went, and my other members who went on different days, that it was packed also when they went as well. I just like to send to the teachers that were involved, the students that were involved in that you did a wonderful job, and keep up the good work.
All right, we're going to leave recognition.
Do you want to mention the?
Yeah, good.
I attended the Lakewood High School Athletic Hall of Fame banquet dinner, where they installed a bunch of the former students into this Hall of Fame. Very well done. The athletes that discussed their histories with Lakewood, how great a district this was, and brought up how much the district has improved within the last year, and was thankful that this board has made those changes. If anybody wants to see the brochure and the inductees, they're more than welcome to look at it.
Thank you.
Generally, right now, we have the recognition of the public. I'm going to hold off the recognition of the public till the very end of the meeting. There's other items, I think, reports and recommendations of the administrator. We're going to continue with the entire agenda till the end. Then we'll open up the recognition of the public at the very end of the meeting. So let's do number 8, reports and recommendations of the business administrator.
That would be page 2, section 8, which goes over to the top of page 7. And if there were any, no, it doesn't look like there were any of the notes to that. So is there a motion?
So moved.
Second. I second it. Feels first, I second.
Items 8.
Any discussion on that item?
No?
Okay.
Roll call, please.
Thank you. Mr. Munn?
Yes.
Mr. Zlotkin?
Yes.
Yes. The approval of this.
Mr. Friedman?
Yes.
Mr. Greenspan?
Just left.
You just stepped out.
Okay. Mr. Tiff?
Yes. Yes.
Mr. Schwartz?
Yes.
Mr. Silver?
You good?
Mr. Silver went in hiding. Next.
Mr. Seidler?
Yes.
Motion passes. Oh, Mr. Fick, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Approve bill list.
Wasn't that part of the?
That was part
That was
of
part of the
Let's
agenda.
move on, it's already done.
You're up to the superintendent.
We're up to the superintendent's agenda on page 7.
And
Any
that
questions?
is with the
Yeah.
items that I noted removed.
Yes, with the superintendent's agenda as amended by the
As
removal of
amended.
those items.
Okay. I do have a couple questions about that section. Can I ask those now?
Well, there should be a motion first.
Okay.
The motion
Make-
to approve?
Second. open for discussion. There's a couple questions that I have. One, the instructors, maybe Ms. Winters can help me with this. The instructors that we have down here, the names of the people that we're paying this for, not the schools, but the names. Is the district able to verify their certification as far as the topics that they're teaching, that they're specialized in that topic? Is that something that we have to verify?
Well, we verify that they're given PT, they have to give in the agenda and sign it.
But I'm saying, but the
They cannot get
instructor.
paid until we have all their paperwork.
I understand that. But are they certified? Do you have to be certified in order to teach or to give instruction on these topics?
No, there's professional development.
There's no certification involved in that? Okay. Another quick question too. On page 9, like in the middle, where it says, has a name, but it says staff development, there's no name put there, but it's for $500 for each.
That could be the name of the company. They're doing professional development strategies to increase learning fluency. And practical strategies.
I can't hear you. Can you turn your mic on?
Okay. So the name of the company will be called Professional Development? Is that, okay. Okay, can we find out if you don't mind? Okay. Is it possible to hold up on that until we do find out? Is that possible? Okay. Another one too, second page, page 11 in the middle. Another one, the title says Professional Development under the workshop activity, says Professional Development. But it's the same topic taught by the same person. I mean, taught at the same school, but with 2 different prices and 2 different instructors.
Well, instructors charge different prices. So they have different prices.
So there's not like a guide that they have to follow?
No.
I can't
Different-
hear you. I can't hear you.
You gotta use your mic.
Yeah, something on the.
Testing. It's very loud.
Yeah, my son.
Hello?
It's
Too loud. It's a little bit too loud over here.
Okay. Tracy, any other questions?
No, thank you.
Does any other board
Thank you,
members
Mr.
have any questions?
Yes, I have a question regarding the transfers of personnel. These personnel that are slated to be transferred from within the district, was there some type of notification or some type of meeting that took place with these professionals to get their input as to whether, the transfers, what the plan is, or, would it work?
Principals met, they gave the teachers rights notices. However, they were told either they would be non-renewed or transferred. Was there discussion?
There was never discussion with the teachers and coming up with a plan similar to what we did when it came to the 6th grade, moving the 6th grade students to the middle school. We felt that all the stakeholders should be involved, and therefore we had multiple meetings with both parents, teachers, to make sure that this transition is a smooth transition. So I understand on these items, the teachers were not part of the discussion. They were not part of the process there on the transfers.
There are voluntary transfers and there are involuntary transfers.
Okay.
A few were voluntary, but for the most part, involuntary.
On that note, to follow up on George's question. Now, with the transfers, I'm just thinking that when we do the transition from 6th, 7th, and 8th grade to the middle school, will there be enough staffing with the transfers, or even with the ones that are on the agenda that were moved as far as the non-renewals? Is that going to affect the staffing at the middle school?
Staffing at the middle school, we still need teachers, but we received a lot of resumes, and we have about 14 openings out of 24. There we go.
Mr. Fink, I'd also like to point out on page 50 and 51 of the agenda, item C, it starts at the bottom of 50 and goes to the top of 51. There are 5 additional non-renewals that were sort of they were set up for non-certificated people that were put in a different part of the agenda. Those should also be removed, and the board should not be acting on those tonight. So, I would say in the absence of any, we're going to remove those from the agenda as well. Any further, Mr. Frink, would you like a roll call now?
Please.
Mr. Munn?
Yes.
Mr.
What are we voting on now?
The superintendent.
All the way to the end, right?
All the way to the end.
Are we doing the superintendent's items?
Yes. Mr. Lockett?
Is it all the superintendent's items?
Yes.
Yes. I just want to make sure that, are we voting on the consultants? Because
Yes.
we are, okay, yes.
Mr. Friedman?
Yes.
Mr. Greenspan?
Yes.
Mr. Tipp?
I'm sorry. One. Okay, yes.
Mr. Schwartz?
Yes, except for letter E on both certified and non-certified, which refer to the transfers. On that one, I'm going to abstain. I don't feel that now is the right time for that.
Okay. Mr. Silver? Oh, Mr. Singh? Mr. Seidler, I'm sorry, Mr. Seidler.
Yes, except for item E on page 51 to 52, I'll abstain.
And yes on everything.
Motion carries.
Okay. Open to the public, please. Trace, do you have the...
Yes, I do. First we have Mr. Habday.
Good evening, Board. Bill Hobday, 30 Schoolhouse Lane. Can I address council?
You can, of course. I'm not quite sure how much he's actually allowed to tell you, Bill. But please feel free and he'll make his own decision.
Just to determine if copies of the letter you received from the FBI and or the court is public record that we can look at?
I think it is not, but I have not really researched that question.
Okay. If you should find that it is, would a copy be available without going through
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. President, I have such a good feeling because I see the pride returning to Lakewood School District. The sports programs are doing terrific. Your arts program is doing terrific. Your alliances with all of the other businesses and functions in Lakewood Township, Georgian Court University, Blue Falls, etc. I think that is paying off. When pride returns, so does academic achievement, so does the absence of what we had faced in former years with violence in the schools. People have that pride and they want to achieve and they want to participate. This is wonderful. This board brought that. I'm here to say that I support Carl Fink as president, this whole board. You've done a magnificent job. Mrs. Winters, you've been outstanding. Your whole professional group has done a great job. Keep it going. Don't let anyone or anything deter you from your goal. These children are counting on you for a good, thorough, and efficient education. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next.
Mr. Hoban.
Michael Hoban, Rosewood Drive in Lakewood. I'd like to second Bill's comments about what I have observed at these meetings and what I know of the accomplishments of the district since I have become, quote, interested since last April with the election of the new board. I was a professional educator for 48 years, from the elementary to the graduate level. And so I look upon the educational issues with perhaps a slightly more experienced eye than other people may. Excuse me. During the past 6 months or so, I have looked at, first of all, the history of the schools here in Lakewood and what has happened over the past 6 or 8 months. I've been fortunate enough to be able to meet with some important people, the superintendent of schools, Mr. Dembolo, who's not here this evening, and the Ms. Tobias, who runs the special education program. In a period of only 7 or 8 months, it has become very obvious to me, as I'm sure it has to many other people, that a major problem, if I may use that word, with the school district going forward is going to be the cost of educating special needs students. I think everybody knows that, and I think everybody has a feeling for it. From my observation, it is so significant that I would suggest that in a very short period of time, a few years at most, I think the district will be in danger of going bankrupt if the present trend continues. Now the point is, what good does it do to talk about it if there's no solution? And so within the past 2 weeks, an article of mine appeared in the Asbury Park Press. I happen to believe that there is a solution that I think benefits the Orthodox community, the public school community, and the seniors of Lakewood, plus everybody else who lives here. And that is that we have to come up, that is the school district and all of us together have to come up with a clear and as simple as possible plan and approach the state, not to take over the school district by any means, because I think we're doing a good job, but to take over a certain aspect of the school district, and that is education for special needs students, and to fund it at 100%. And what I proposed in the article was that we tried to persuade the state to create the first special needs district in the state of New Jersey, and I think we have significant arguments that we might be able to make that happen if, in fact, we can get together on the issue. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right. Dr. Killian? Killian, sorry, Killian.
Good evening. And, I am here because Reverend Glenn Wilson asked me to come here to speak on behalf of Unite. And I met with Reverend Wilson about 9 months ago, and I had just retired from public education after 38 years. And 22 of those years were spent up in Hudson County. And of the 22 years, I ran a program, an alternative high school program for at-risk kids. And, we had kids from 12 towns, all around Hudson County, Jersey City, North Bergen, Union City, and so on, street kids. And we had kids who had already dropped out of school, come to our program. We had kids who were in danger of dropping out. We had kids who came from jail. We had kids who would go to jail. The judges told the kids, if you don't enroll in this program, you're going to go to jail. We had a teen parent program. And what we did with those kids was nothing short of miraculous, and all it was a matter of just changing the environment in the school. And I know when I spoke with Reverend Wilson, I spoke to him on the phone, and then I sent him a copy of a book that I had written about the program I ran up there. And when he read it, he called me up and said, "Tom, we have to get together." So I met with him for 2 hours, and it was really a pleasure and a privilege to meet with him because he's a good man. His heart's in the right place. He wants to help kids, and he just told me, he said, "Tom, I'm tired of our kids dropping out of school and ending up in trouble." So I said, "Well, let's talk about it." So we've been corresponding over the last 9 months or so. And I talked to him recently, and I said, let's try to do something in Lakewood. If we can do it in Hudson County, we can do it in Lakewood. It's not going to cost the district anything. The program we had in Hudson County, we had students from the ages of 16 to 21, so we got state funding for those kids. So in actuality, you're doing two things. One, you're helping kids get their high school diplomas and to move on. Even kids who have already dropped out, you're bringing those kids back because they already, many of the kids have accrued credits already. The second thing you're going to do is you're going to bring money back into the district that you have lost because those kids have dropped out. So it's really not going to cost the district anything. You know, so what I'm going to ask Reverend Wilson to get in touch with Mrs. Winter and see if we can set something up to, just talk for about a half hour or so, if that's okay. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Larry Avery? Did I say that right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Larry Everin, on Clay Boulevard, Lakewood. I, as number before me have said, I want to congratulate the current board, especially over the last 2 or 3 years, on the direction it has taken and the improvement that it has made to the public education and the entire community in terms of delivering a budget and everything. I'm sorry to hear that Mr. Seitler is stepping down as vice president, but glad that he's at least staying on the board. I want to encourage everybody to continue what they have been doing and improve the education and keep the budgets in line as best that it can be done. I congratulate the current board and Mr. Fink for everything they've done.
Thank you. Miss Annette Coney.
Good evening. I would like to echo what others have said, but I also want to share firsthand some of the successes of what has taken place at the high school this year. You heard me say at the last meeting, morale of the students are up. There's different things that, my son has been at that school for 4 years. I, as a parent, would say that this has been the best year at the high school. Not just for my son, but for the other students that I've met, the teachers that I've met. I work with the PTSO at the high school, work with the administrators at the high school. There's so many positive things that are happening. I'm not here to vote for one person or encourage one personality over the other. I'm here for the students. My son will be leaving the high school, thank God, June 25th. However, I know that there's children coming behind my son, and I hope that this board and the future boards will consider those children that will be coming up. Between the academies at the high school, had the opportunity to sit in a meeting where students shared their experiences. They were juniors and seniors at the school who literally started crying there because they felt like they lost 2 years at the high school. But this year they were able to participate in the Fashion Institute, the Culinary Academy. And those kids that prepared that food, I don't know if you guys have eaten the food from there, but in some cases it's better than some of the restaurants that we pay money for, that our children are preparing at the high school. So we all should be proud that our students are excited about learning, they're picking up crafts and skills. And Mr. Fink, what you mentioned earlier about the employment coming in, what a great opportunity. We have to help ourselves and help our children, because if our children aren't prepared for the future, we're all in trouble. Because they will be the ones who are taking care of us, looking out for us and our communities, no matter what side of the railroad track you live on. So I just wanted to bring that out. And again, continue to do what you do, even after June 25th. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Edward Harper.
Good evening, everybody. I'm from the Macedonia Baptist Church here in Lakewood, the senior pastor there. My question is, in light of seeing what is happening in terms of violence in the grammar schools all the way through college throughout this country, what is this board doing in order to prevent the same type of thing or something similar from happening here in Lakewood?
As far as student violence?
Or outside violence, or terrorists coming in, or whatever.
Well, we have a security team at the high school, middle school. We are actually moving, each elementary school building will have a security guard in the building as well. We're also improving our security cameras so that security can see all elementary schools, every door and entrance from their office, and the principal can see as well. So that'll be in all the schools.
Okay, thank you.
Next. Ms. Bosky.
evening, board members, ladies and gentlemen. I usually also try to share some very good news as to what's been happening in the district. Collaboration and Read Across America, parent-teacher activities, working with the board on committees. However, this evening for us is not a time for celebration. With the resignation of some wonderful staff members and administrators and the termination and transfers of teachers. I have a request. When you meet with these people, as is their right, as Mr. Edelstein put so clearly, succinctly, and correctly, I want you to really listen to what they have to say. Listen very carefully. There is much more you have to learn about them and their school year than what is contained in a portfolio. As some people say, there's my side and there's your side, and somewhere in the middle is the truth. I would like you to listen and find that truth, because 48 people, non-renewed, and the transfers that are going on really need to be looked at, and the people need to be listened to. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Charles Anthony.
Good afternoon, Charles Anthony, 1406 Tower Street. First, I'd like to start off with Mr. Fink and the board. Thank you very much for the year that you have given us. Next, I would like to start off with what the young lady just had to say. We've become a revolving door of education and opportunity here. My daughters graduated last year, and they had to go through remedial education because there was no math teacher. Now we're getting ready to do a transition with the middle school. Now we're getting 48 employees are leaving. Where does this leave our kids coming in? Where does this leave our kids coming in next year? The PTSO is trying to plan, trying to plan their board and plan their members to take members from the middle school coming into the high school so that we can better be prepared. Where does 48 teachers and administrators leaving the high school leave our kids at when they get ready to come into the 9th, 10th, and 11th, and 12th grade? What kind of statement does this leave the kids that's in the school in which they've had a new principal every year? Every year you have a new principal. I don't know what a principal makes, but if you're throwing $100,000 down the drain every year, and your resume and your job application, what is the applicant's criteria to be here for 1 year? We need to make some stability. Make some stability. As she said, there's your side, there's their side, and there's a middle. In that middle is a lot of kids that happen to be looking for adults that will stand up and take a stance, maybe against something or for something. But in taking that stance, they are taking that stance for these kids. And I thank you very much.
I just want to ask the superintendent, how many people are involved in the transfers, in the decision making the transfers, and also looking at those people that we let go? Is there a team of people? Is it one person, two people? They have meetings?
For the most part, the principals recommend non-renewal of teachers.
Okay. And
Based on, no teacher lost their job based on a portfolio. I will tell you that right now, not one teacher lost their job based on any portfolio given.
so it's based on the evaluations they received throughout the year?
Based on performance, strictly performance.
It was strictly
At the
performance?
Lakewood High School, we only had 6 non-renewals this year, which is extremely low considering the past. One was a retirement. Early Childhood Center was 4, Elegy Clark was 3. Clifton Avenue was 5, Lakewood Middle School was 2, Spruce Street School was 1, Oak Street School was 9.
And is there a team that decides which teachers should be transferred? So you have some
Teachers that were transferred, the majority of teachers that were transfers were, all the first grade teachers are being transferred to Oak Street School because Spruce Street School will continue to be an old kindergarten building.
Okay.
So that was the majority of the transfers. A lot of other transfers, there were maybe child study team, there were a couple of transfers that were teacher recommended for the transfers. A nurse transfer, a guidance counselor transfer, there were.
These were all performance-based, every single one.
Transfers are not performance-based.
No, I'm talking about terminations.
Non-renewals are performance-based. And the recommendation is made by the principals.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any more comments from the board? No. Next person, Trace?
I'm not sure if I pronounced this right, but I can't really read the last name. McCullough? Martin?
First name?
Martin, looks like Martin or Mark.
Martin?
Can't read it. McCall?
All right, next person?
McGill? One more time? All right. I have to read that either.
Katya Ozona. Katya.
Katia.
Oh, there you go.
Hi. I am a student for Lakewood High School. I'm here representing my teacher. I love her. I don't want her get fired because I love her. She helped me a lot because I didn't pass my HESPA, and she helped me a lot. You don't imagine how much she helped me. Thank you.
What's the name of her? What's the name of the teacher? Oh, I can't. I'm sorry.
Thank you very much, we appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Pastor Jackson?
I don't think Pastor Jackson, are you here?
He's outside with the report.
Okay.
He's coming in now.
He's coming.
Here he comes. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Or evening, whichever you want to call it.
I'll wait till you come to the mic and it'll start your minutes, though.
God bless you. How are you? Good evening, everybody. I'm Pastor Earl Jackson from 271 Joe Parker Road, Lakewood, New Jersey. Again, we like to comment on the board for, and also especially the teachers, for such a wonderful job that was done this year. Beautiful job. But I'm too a little question about if you start letting things go, people go, changing things, it looks like we're going to go back to the same old way, and we don't need to do that. A question which is asked concerning the violence that used to be in our school. I don't think it has anything to do with the security guards that are there. Prison has security guards, and there's quite a bit of violence still going on in prison. It has quite a bit to do with education. You understand? We understand that. You educated an individual that would change their personality, change their character, and then they realize they don't have to use their fists to get what they need or what they want. They can use their brains. So as you continue educating our children, we're here to tell you to continue on with the good work. Mr. Fake, you're doing the good work. You're doing a wonderful job. The young man that stepped down, perhaps you can step in his shoe, or somebody can step in his shoe and the vice president place and give Mr. Fake a hand. Because we don't need to have him leave and mess around and don't have anybody. You understand what I'm saying? What we need to do is we need to fortify one another. We need to continue doing the good work that has been doing. Don't change a thing. Find out why these people are leaving. Stop it. We don't need to lose good teachers. We got to encourage our teachers. Good educators are very hard to find. Anybody be happy to get a paycheck, but are you willing to earn that paycheck? we're not asking people to be babysitters, we're asking people to be educators. And that's what our teachers are doing right now. Thank you very much.
That concludes the list.
Okay, at this point, I'll entertain a motion of adjournment.
I'd like to make a motion prior to that, please.
Okay?
I'd like to make a motion to end the services of Simon Adelstein as attorney at law of the Lakewood Board of Education.
Second.
You're both out of order, you can't do that. This board, the president will not accept any motion pertaining to that. You're out of motion.
I don't know what he said.
The board would like to second that motion.
All right, well, you can't. You're out of motion. You're out of motion.
Mr. Fink, when you become an attorney,
Oh, excuse me.
you can go ahead and decide. He made a motion, I second.
I'm telling you, you're out of order. You cannot make that motion.
What are the legalities of that? May I? And I realize the motion involves our firm, but the law is what the law is. The accountability regulations do not allow for the out-of-the-blue appointment or replacement of lawyers or other professionals, for that matter. It's simply not permitted. The accountability regulations now, and this is a difference since 2008 when they were implemented, the accountability regulations now require a process. So if some board members wanted to replace lawyers or auditors or engineers or any other professional, there is a way to do it. The way to do it is to bring that to the appropriate committee, to establish a process, to carry out that process, and then to act subsequently.
At-will employees are not allowed to be released at any time?
None of these people that you're describing are employees.
Oh, we have spoken to other attorneys who have told us that it is perfectly legal to make a motion to remove a Board of Education attorney.
Yeah,
So
well,
we were willing to go along with that opinion.
the fact of the matter is that the history of advice here has been rather odd in many regards. So I'm telling you, Mr. President, and I apologize because I realize it involves us, but I'm telling you that that motion is out of order. If some other attorney disagrees with me, let that other attorney bring an appropriate action. But I'm telling you that a process is required and that motion is out of order.
As far as I understand, to the chair, as far as I understand, when we released the last attorney of his duties, there was no process.
You're wrong about that.
His contract was actually up.
The contract ended, there were requests for submissions and the submissions were made.
Through the chair.
How could I dispute that?
I would like to know, because the board didn't receive any information on this, what attorney did you have in mind?
None. My suggestion is that we look for an attorney. Now, one second, let me just finish my thought. Now that the motion came out, whether or not you're going to let the motion go or not is a separate question.
I'm actually going to end it now. The motion's not being accepted.
We're not discussing the motion right now. He asked the question, and I'm going to answer the question. The billing practices of Simon Adelstein are out of control.
Well, let me answer that.
One second, I'm not finished.
No. But you are finished.
I'm not
I got
finished.
the gavel, so you're finished.
I'm a little talking.
When Simon Adelstein came in here,
I'm not. Can I just finish what I was saying before you? Carl.
when Adelstein's company came into the district.
I would like to make a motion to go into closed session to discuss this.
No.
You should have been here at
6:30.
Correct. Next time, come on time. Don't come at 7:30 and be rude.
Carl,
Don't you yell at other board members.
Carl, when you finish,
I'll come when I
talk.
feel like coming.
Fine, so then we're not going to...
Carl,
Discuss all the meetings you missed when you're on vacation. I came late and that is not your business.
Carl, finish what you're saying and then I respond. That's what I said. Finish what you're saying. Then
Make a
I
motion to go into closed session to discuss this.
when Mr. Edelstein came on board, we
I
had
seconded.
many open cases, plus we had numerous the board was notified on June 24th, all the board members were notified in writing in a closed meeting, how many problems that the district had. On top of that, we had like 28 open lawsuits. These have all been settled. What the problem is that Mr. Edelstein and his company is a little on the expensive side, excessive, but they're getting things done. So do we go back to where we were? And we look for a new board member. And this is at the end. I'm next, folks. And get ready for a fight there, because this is his plan too, to introduce a policy and a thing to get rid of me too. So just as long as you know,
Ain't gonna happen.
that's happening.
Now that you finished, can I talk?
Yes.
Okay, what I was saying, now let me finish my thought.
Because this is what they have in mind. And next meeting, you're going to see an attorney who was here in the past.
My thought.
Same five people.
Okay.
The famous five.
Carl, you said that I can talk? Carl, you said that I can talk, now can I talk?
Which attorney, the one you met with today?
Yes, I did.
Oh, the one that you met with today, Carl.
Okay, now, Mr. Fink, you said, Mr. Fink, you said that I can talk, so I'm talking in person.
Please.
Okay, now let me have my turn. I'm suggesting that they can be, Mr. Fink,
Please.
it was discussed that there should be a meeting to discuss capping legal bills.
That's correct.
That never happened.
One second.
Never happened.
I'm talking.
I wasn't here.
I'm not asking for a response. Let me just finish
I
my
have
thought.
grandchildren. We have something called Mother's Day and Father's Day.
Can I finish my
and
thought?
I was away.
Okay, can I
I
finish
know
my
you
thought?
don't know what that is, but it's true.
Carl. Okay, Carl.